GamerDude 2088, and we're back for another Overwatch discussion. And this time around, want to talk about picking heroes. Now, when I first started the game, I had it in my mindset that I will learn every hero inside and out and be at least decent enough to play any hero for any given time. Which at this point, yes, I can. I still have the heroes I like to play with more than others, but I can relatively play with each hero in the game. Kind of made that up in my head just because I know so many people are going to go in and just pick one hero. They're going to really like that hero and only play that hero. And might have a secondary hero they might pick and a tertiary hero here and there. But mostly they play that one hero, which gives about a lot of trouble because I look at a lot of videos about Overwatch online and I see the same thing coming up all the time, and it's always about the people picking heroes and mostly into the competitive scene. The competitive scene, you always got everybody want to be a DPS, but not everybody's qualified to be a DPS. And when you're solo queuing, that's pretty much what goes on in your head. It's like, all right, I'm going to be the DPS person and try to carry this team. You might win some, you might lose some. It's like sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not. And that's kind of the trouble I had with the last competitive season. This competitive season, I haven't even started playing it. Kind of just like fell off of it because I was just so upset with myself and just the game in general. It's like I don't want a solo queue because it's like if I do, then I feel like I gotta play a DPS in order to ensure the team's victory, which is a hit and miss. And then when I do play with a team, it's like, all right, all these people do have lives, so we're not all together. And it's like I was working on formulating the actual team, wanted to get this team into, higher tiers, at least a platinum. I know we're all mediocre at best, but it's like, all right, if we can start off at a gold, at least a low gold tier, and then move our way up into platinum, maybe we can do something. Maybe we can do something, but that will require a lot of teamwork, a lot of coordination, and people that actually will listen. And that's just not always the given thing. Most of us just get with our friends and just run around and like, oh, there's a Reaper behind us. Okay, then everybody runs after the Reaper and forgets that we still got people in front of us. But that's generally just how it goes when you play these games. But anyway, before I get too far off on a tangent, what I really want to talk about is just picking heroes. All right, this is all in my personal thoughts behind it, but there's a lot of discussion going around that everybody should know at least two heroes in each class. Then there's like a counter discussion talking about that's just not enough because even though these heroes are in a class, that don't necessarily mean that they suit that position. Like Roadhog, for instance. Roadhog is a high HP DPS. He's not a tank. There's no way in shape and form that Roadhog can actually tank because he doesn't really have any real tanking qualities. I mean, May's more of a tank than he is, and she's in a defensive position. That's like Symmetra in support, but she's more of a defensive hero because all the basic supports have heals. Symmetra doesn't, so she doesn't even fit that category. That's just kind of where I'm going with this scenario. And so when you are learning heroes, it's like, me personally, I feel as if you should know at least two heroes, but you should know what you're trying to do. Like a lot of people, like when I say like people that don't play tanks that often, a lot of them they quick to jump on Diva and Winston, and it's like, okay, they kind of like the same kind of class of tank. They're both like backline harassers. I mean, after the buff for Diva, she is able to frontline a little more, but that's really not her role. She's more of a block damage for a few seconds, get into the black line, harass the enemy, get right back out type of thing, and then her ult is to zone. Same way with Winston, but he doesn't necessarily sit on the front line. It's more of getting to the back line, get a couple picks, and get out, or just put enough AoE damage out to your team can pick up on what you did and then get out of there. and that's kind of how he is. I mean, the only real tank by definition is Reinhardt. And a lot of people don't play Reinhardt, don't pick Reinhardt. And if I would recommend a tank to anybody, it would be first to pick it. In actuality, it'd be first to be Zarya, because Zarya in the competitive meta provides so much utility. Then secondary, I would say Reinhardt. Those would be the two tanks of choice, in my opinion. If you were to learn tanks, and if you know Reinhardt or Zarya, that's good. And then you could put a Winston or a Diva in between there. Now for the attackers. Now on the attacking side, I kind of break it up into a few different little categories, because they all relatively do the same thing but in different ways. It's like Genji, Tracers, your backline, harassers. Well, you can throw Pharah in that category as well, because she's kind of, even though she supports from the air, but she can get around relatively easy, where Soldier, McCree, and Reaper, they do have mobility mechanics and able to get around, but not as well as the other three could in some instances. Reaper's kind of a hit and miss, but he's more of a directly on the front line type of attacker. He gets in, kills the tank, puts lots of damage out, kills the tanks. But when you picking them, it's usually you either have a Genji or Tracer under your belt, and if you're good with projectiles, then Genji will be the better choice over Tracer. And then you will either pick Soldier, or McCree, or Reaper. Now, when it comes to McCree versus Soldier and Reaper, McCree does the most damage at range. So if you're looking to get a little range and stay behind for a little bit, play a little more passively, McCree is the guy to go to. If you're being a little more aggressive, then you will probably go for a Soldier kind of pick, because you can be good at range and good close up. Even though McCree still has Fan the Hammer, which is deadly up close, and Reaper kills the close range battle. So it all depends on how you setting up the position and the style of play when you're going to choose who you're going to use. But you should know a Genji. Everyone should have some kind of Genji play under their belt, and possibly a little bit of Tracer, and then kind of wherever you choose between Reaper, McCree, and Soldier. And when you have that kind of versatility between your team, anybody can pick up any hero and it's like, okay, well, since we need this hero, this person play this, and I switch off and play this other hero. And that's kind of where you go with attackers somewhat. Now, moving on to the defenders. Defensive heroes are the tricky ones. On low levels, they are extremely powerful, but on high levels, they weed out a little bit. And on the high levels, you could possibly see a Junkrat, a Mei, or a Hanzo lingering around, and those are the kind of the ones I lean to just because of that. And when it comes to Bastion and Torbjorn, and as well as Widowmaker, they're not as the best on the higher levels. Especially you being a mediocre player like myself, you don't want to bring a Widowmaker into competitive and expect to do anything. You don't have that killer accuracy. It's not going to work. And then when it comes to Bastion, if you have a solid Genji player on your team, no matter who it is, if the person that's been playing whatever role that they've been playing is not the best Genji player, they switch off into the role that you were going to play, and you play the Genji and take out the Bastion. It's simple as that. Getting the Bastion's face is really not much you can do. Be aggressive against Bastion, not passive, especially playing as Genji. And if you're a solid Genji player, you would know that. Now, when it comes to Torbjorn, all it really is a headshot and he's done. Mostly because most Torbjorn players, they just sit and camp their turret and try to keep it alive by hitting it with the hammer. And my solution to that is always kill Torbjorn through face shots first, or force him away from his turret, kill the turret. And it's not as simple as I'm making it sound, but it works that way. And as you get used to doing it, it becomes simple. And I figured that out throughout me playing Widowmaker in the past. Back before she had the nerf, I used to come up across Torbjorn turns, and I felt like, oh yeah, I'm a good counter towards that. So I ended up just going for two shots. A full scope shot on the Torbjorn, and then a shot on the Torbjorn turret, and then it's done. or something like that. But yeah, generally that's how it works. So they kind of are a little useless as you get further up, even though they're still powerful on the lower ranks. So you got to be in that mindset of you are on that type of level. So let's finally get into supports and what they bring to the table. When it comes to the supports, everyone in this game should know how to play Lucio. Lucio is arguably the best support, hands down, this game has to offer. He provides so much utility, but when it comes to backing him up, you should bring in a Mercy, a Zenyatta, or Ana. Well, whatever your choice is out of those characters based on you and your team and how you're going to go about on each map. I prefer Zenyatta just for the stopping power and being able to stay in the fight. But Mercy might be a better choice for lower ranks just because she forgives you for all the mistakes you and your friends may make. And then you have Ana providing extra DPS and making you have a stronger front line. And damage boosting Reinhardts are fucking hilarious. I mean, it doesn't always work because not everybody is that coordinated, but it is crazy when it does happen. I'm going to finish it off here. So this is the Gamer Dude signing out. I could talk more about each category, but we want to save that for later videos. And I appreciate you watching if you made it all the way through to the end. And I'd like to hear your comments and what you guys may think about the subject matter, and if there's something that I didn't speak on or something that you want to elaborate on or talk about, leave it in the comment section below. And I'm out. Deuces.